Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I am SocioPsycho, and today we are going to actually have the first episode in our new series, No Lag News. Now, this station is going to be dedicated to bringing you news information private to gaming or around gaming, and now and again, stuff that's just off the wall. This will be a weekly series, as we'll try to continue uploading on Friday. So, our first episode, what are we going to talk about? Well, let's talk about something a little positive. There seems to be a little bit of controversy or confusion over the creation of a GayStation 4, as it's codename called. What this actually is basically just a PS4 spray painted in a fabulous color design, and this was done to help in the support of Swedish Federation for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Rights. The auction raised $4,105 USD. All that money was dedicated going to helping the community of those who were prosecuted, just as there are many different organizations helping many other people. And I thought this was really interesting to bring, that even such a small act can allow people to come together in a time where the world is so crazily at war in many regions. Now, the Swedish Federation does have a quote, and they say, "For many young people, the world of games will become a refuge to escape the taunting, or worse, of real life." And I can understand this. Whether you're playing a single-player game or a multiplayer game, a co-op game, whatever the situation may be, you're able to find solace and comfort in a game where the world can seem like a very dark and lonely place. And it's up to us as a community to accept everybody who is different, because we all have differences in our lives. Unfortunately, that viewpoint is not shared by everybody, as people cry out and protest over something as simple as this, as an act of charity or goodwill, and they say that if you play online, especially on a PlayStation and Xbox, the last thing you're going to do is find comfort in the kindness of others. And while I do agree that there are many rude people on the internet, there are always decent people if you know where to look. If you look in a trash can, there's a good chance you will find trash. To the people who outcry over something as simple as showing charity and goodwill and acceptance of another person, all I have to say to that is, it's 2014, so why don't you shut the fuck up and either support somebody who doesn't have the exact liberties you do, or just get the fuck out, because nobody cares about your hatred. Your indifference to other people is making the world a bad place, not a better place. Your small-mindedness only shows the lack of your character, rather any true strength. Which ties us fabulously into Microsoft. Now, Microsoft had a little issue here recently on their GameStation, and they banned a lesbian for putting in her profile that she was a lesbian. Microsoft is relatively stupid, as they don't seem to understand the world that they've helped create through Windows and advancements in technology. They have a policy in their terms of service, which I respect and I can understand, and I quote, "Harassment of any kind is not condoned and is taken very seriously. We strongly encourage Xbox Live members to immediately report inappropriate behavior through the complaint tools and the services so that it can be investigated and the proper action can be taken." Well, that seems like a pretty obvious thing. If you're getting trolling or somebody's really messing with you and calling you names, it's harassment. You want to get away from that. I understand that. The issue comes when Microsoft bends over backwards and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, player who is named of Teresa," because in Teresa's case, she had in her profile that she was a lesbian. And while in the terms of service, they may say, in regards to sexual orientation with game tags or profiles, we do not allow expression of any type of orientation that be hetero or other, that is understandable. Whether it be a bit chicken shit as to not actually stand up for what is fucking right thing to do, and that would be equal rights. But instead, they actually ban her account, as people would follow her around into different rooms, continuously harassing her, battering her, and as I quote, "They followed me into the games and told all of the other players to turn me in because they didn't want to see that crap," the lesbian title on her or sexual orientation on their profile page, which they have to go into out of your way to get to in the first place, and they didn't want to see that crap or, gasp, have their kids see that. I have a news flash for anybody who might actually be legitimate in this cause. Because if you're running around the Xbox universe and you're like, oh, that person's a lesbian, I'm going to flame them, you're pretty small of a person, and actually pretty fucking pathetic. But if you're actually an adult, somebody who's supposed to be responsible and has kids in the first place, well, there's a couple issues with that. One, you're letting your kids be in an area where there's heavy adult content such as cursing and swearing and violence. You say, well, I know there's a difference between video games and real life. And you're like, absolutely. But there's not a difference in between telling your kid, hey, gay people are fucking bad and evil and should be prosecuted, and seeing it and saying, hey, this is on a profile page which you have to go into or look at, and it's just one word that says their sexual orientation. Yeah, because that doesn't send a message to the kids. I think at the end of the day, when a psychiatrist gets a hold of your kids and they say, okay, tell me about your mother and father, and they say, well, my mom and dad were a fucking bigot who decided nothing but harass minorities and the LGBT community, I think we're going to know where to start. Not, oh, well, I played video games and I once saw a lesbian name on a profile and now I'm scarred for life because everyone's going to hell. No, I don't fucking think so. Why don't you get control of your fucking self, show some respect to other goddamn people, and Microsoft, why don't you fucking grab your balls, man the fuck up, and actually protect the people who deserve to be protected. Instead of hiding behind regulations of harassment of any kind should not be tolerated, and you got people saying, oh, well, I feel harassed because I have to look at this person's sexual orientation, which is nothing more than a word, so ban the person who hasn't done anything wrong. Don't prosecute me. Don't discriminate against my right to discriminate against other people. No, that would be bad, Microsoft. Pull your head out of your fucking ass and actually do something right. And they quote, the Xbox Live community grows daily, and we continue to explore methods and levels of enforcement to enhance the way our members connect and have fun, while adhering to the safe and fun of all our members. I got a tip for you, I'll give you this, it's a freebie. Why don't you just add an ignore button? Oh, that person's on your ignore list, I cannot go to that server, I'll go to server 2 automatically in the queue because I have people on server 1 who are on my ignore list. That way, in a whole sea of millions of people who play, you don't have to end up with the same douchebag twice. It is a freebie, Microsoft. Why don't you fucking take it and implement it into your systems? But what the fuck does Microsoft know in the first place? Isn't PC gaming dead already? Well, Microsoft sure thinks so. They pump more money into their phones and their Xbox than actually making a Windows operating system that works. How many people are actually satisfied with Windows 8? Yeah, it's an old topic, I'm not rehearsing it, it's getting fixed up, yeah. But in a true sense, is that better for gaming than Windows 7? How many issues have you had? I'm not trying to start a flame war between Windows 7, Mac, or fucking Linux, or Windows 8, but what I am saying is they fucking put so much effort, so much time, so much money into the wrong areas and completely abandon gaming. While they're off chasing Xbox and console sales, Linux is slowly sneaking up behind them under the support of Steambox, slowly grabbing and taking away players and gamers to another system. Should more games follow into the Linux world, more people will follow. And you're saying, well, where are you going with this? What are you doing? You know, how does that tie into PC gaming's already dead? Well, Microsoft certainly thinks so. Microsoft created Halo. It's a multi-billion-dollar military science fiction video game, yet they don't port them over to PC. They could make so much more money porting them to PC, but they try to put all their money into exclusive titles and try to bump up an Xbox, which is nowhere in comparison to a PC. Even the latest Halo game coming out, Halo 5, has been squished by them saying, we have no future intent of actually creating Halo 5 for the PC platform. So don't hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. They are so blinded, they don't even see that keeping a game as an exclusive title hurts their platform more than helps it. If they opened up Halo to the PC community and said, hey, not only are we selling you the game, but we're offering you the tools and capabilities to mod our games so you can actually make them relevant to modern days in fixing bugs and updating graphical fidelity, they would have a surge of gameplay, a surge of money pouring back into them. But they don't care about that. Statistically, in 2014, sales of those PS3 and Xbox combined comes to a total of around $160 million. That's how much both of those platforms made together. The current numbers of PC gamers subscribing to free-to-play Leagues of Legends is 130 million people. That is a fucking lot. And if you go into viewership across all esports titles, they've doubled since last year. As technology doubles, as computers and technology is supposed to double every year in its capability and power, the infrastructure should follow, although there have been issues and that's a different subject. The future isn't in a little console, but the future is in how to get a PC smaller. The Steam machine does that just fine while still being a PC, not a console. Because there's always this fight about taking over the living room. Viewership across all esports titles have doubled within the last year, peaking to over 71 million people by the end of 2013. You don't think there's a market for video games? You don't think video games are serious, Microsoft? You don't think you should actually respect people and actually fucking take things straight? Why don't you fucking look at the numbers? Why don't you look at the future? And by looking at the future, all you gotta do is look in the past. People try to compare the esports like, oh, it only has 71 million people. Look at football. It's got 106 million people who follow it and watch it. And that's been around for over 120 years. When you look at soccer, the World Cup had over 1 billion people watching the games. And early evidence of soccer being played as a sport finds occurrence in China during the 2nd and 3rd centuries and BC. But, I regress. I'm sure Microsoft knows best. Not like history tells us anything or they actually care what we think anyways. Give us these games, Microsoft. Why don't you have equal rights to these people? But they're intent on thinking consoles are the way to go and to spend their money. So let's look at the numbers. The Last of Us. It was a decent game, but heavy in cinematics. It was more like a movie rather than an actual game. The way it handled and everything else was terrible. But the numbers of a game are what matters. As of July 2014, the game had sold over 7 million units worldwide. Now that is an impressive number, and any developer or publisher will be happy with that sales number. That is a good chunk of change. But when we look over at PC side, Diablo 3 set a new record for fastest selling PC, 3.5 million copies in the first 24 hours. And it has sold over 20 million copies. And you're thinking, whoa, okay, now you're up in the ante. Okay, boy. Alright, you want up the ante? How about GTA 5, dickwad? So, suck it. $2 billion. Consoles owned. Oh, yeah, you got me there. Oh, how am I going to beat a $2 billion profit game that was released on consoles? Huh. Wow, if only there was a game that came out that racked up money. Maybe an MMO. World of Warcraft, anybody? That game has estimatedly made over $12 billion. Now, does that come in and out because of service maintenance and other costs? Yes, of course. But it's made that much. Just like if GTA 5 makes $2 billion and they spend another $1 billion making it GTA 6, that's a lot of fucking money. But if they did that, it would still be the same thing. Doesn't matter how much money you have at the end of the day, it's how much money you're making as a progress and a group and an estimate. And you can do way more than you can on console. Look at Elder Scrolls Online, the newest one there. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I found it just awful for an MMO. When you try catering to a console, you sacrifice the PC. Which allows us to wrap up all nicely GameStop. And in news of GameStop, they have officially gone full retard. They have a new option to make money in. It's called Get Their New Credit Card. I quote, "It will come packaged with an interest rate of 26.99%. Currently, the market average seems to be in the neighborhood of 13%. The primary incentive for signing up is a 5,000 bonus points for Power Up Basic members and 15,000 bonus points for Power Up Pro members. Also noted are exclusive offers to cardholders. The points can be traded in for specific merchandise or one-time coupon of 25% off the price of a used handheld game." Ooh, wow. If I go to a fucking loan shark and I say, hey, I need to borrow $50,000, I'll get a better APR than that, and he'll break my fucking knees if I don't pay him back. But 26.99%? Oh yeah, that's fucking gorgeous, isn't it? The company's revenue for 2013 financial year was over $9 billion. How the fuck do you think they made that? Not hard when you're selling mainly big titles for $60 a game. You buy 5 titles for $60 a game. You know how many games I could get for fucking $300 on Steam? That I wouldn't even be able to play that many in a month. I could get so many. So you go in, you buy your $60 game, you're like, yes, I got it. And then you finish it, or it's boring, or whatever the case may be, you take it back. You're like, here you go. They're like, hey, excellent, you know, well, here's $20, $25. You don't lose all your money, so you feel like you still gain progress. And then, you know, go buy something else. But what happened to that $60 game that you bought, and the first copy of that game that you bought, the developers get a share of. Then, when you bring it back, they say, okay, thank you. They put it back on the shelf for $50 or $60, and they take all that profit to themselves. That doesn't help developers. That doesn't help game growth. That doesn't help the games that people love so much on consoles and Flame Wars and everything else actually help develop more of them. Yes, I am marketing my game in GameStop. I am paying them for the advertising space. I am giving them copies of the game at a price they are paying for those games, and then they are selling them. And then they are making profit upon profit upon profit upon profit. But all you really hear all the time is copyright this, copyright that on YouTube or Twitch. And you hear, well, you can't have this footage of my game because I created this game. And you should not have any right to monetize your video on my game. Well, guess what, buddy? The $5,000, $2,000, $3,000, depending on your channel size, that I make from advertised revenue, basing your gameplay footage in my background for my commentary, is shit in comparison to how much you're getting screwed over by companies like GameStop. So don't bring that little whiny bullshit to me when you got issues like this. You just go after YouTubers because they're an easy target. I'm looking at you, EA. You don't want that free advertising? Fine, that's fine with me. But regardless of all this, whether you go to GameStop to get a new game that you enjoy, but do not worry, ladies and gentlemen, and fear not, for with their new credit card system, you can feel safe in getting screwed over in all new ways. I have been SocioPsycho, and this has been No Lag News. We don't hold back, we don't bullshit. This is what it is, and this is what you get. Let's see you next time.